Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to talk to you guys about my planner archive system, which I know a lot of you have been asking for a video, and it's taking me a long time because I want to go through and show you examples of my archive. So I had to look through and see what to show you and mark out stuff I didn't want to share. But it is finally here, so let's talk about archives. Okay, so this is my current archive for 2020, and you can see I use just scrapbook paper and binder rings. So I'll go through all of that, and I just create one of these every single year. So the first thing that I do is, like I mentioned, I cut up the covers, the front and the back, using scrapbook paper, and then I laminate them. And I create tabs. I usually create top tabs because I store all of these in a basket, which is kind of narrow. So it's easier if I have the top tabs, it doesn't take as much room on the side. But I have top tabs that I create that match whatever the different sections are in my planner. So I have year, month, week, day, projects, notes, and info. And these will change, you'll see, throughout my archives based on what sections I have in my planners at the time. So then these are all just scrapbook pages again that I cut, and I put the tabs on, and then I laminate them. And pro tip, if you want to do this, I suggest cutting the holes before you laminate, because then it's easier to see where to cut the holes after. And I use a We Are Memory Keepers power punch, and this is really good. It cuts through all kinds of stuff, or punches through all kinds of stuff, so it makes punching through laminate really easy. So I start out with pretty small binder rings, and I have a box of binder rings with all different kinds and sizes of rings. I have little tiny ones. I think I have even smaller ones than that, all the way up to these. I think are 1.5 inch. Usually I end up using about 2-inch rings, but as I go through the year, I will end up switching out the rings until I get to the big size, which is about a 2-inch binder ring. And I find that works for most all of the years I have 2-inch binder rings. Let's see, what else? So when I first start the year, I actually create this at the beginning of the year. So as you can see, I've already created it for 2021, and I put in all of my upcoming pages that I want to put into my planner. So that's another tip, is making sure that you directly move pages from your planner into your binder, or have them in your binder and then move them into your planner. So you're not having all these loose papers floating around, which is one of the problems a lot of people have with ring planners. So that kind of solves that issue. I also like creating the archive binders because they're a good way to go back and see a record of your life, right? It's kind of like a journal, but it's got the in the moment detail information and the mundane tasks, which is interesting to see as you go back through. I also keep them because I'm very tactile, and I like to thumb through them and see the different years, and it's kind of like I said, a journal or a scrapbook type situation for me. And I've also lost digital information when it's only stored digital. Like, I don't have calendars that are digital going back to 2013 or 2012, but I have my archives, so I can go back to 2012 and see what I was doing and all that kind of stuff. So I like that as well. I do also put the information into Evernote, which I've talked about in some of my other videos, and I'll talk about that more here and what kinds of information that I put into Evernote. But that way I have both a physical copy and I have some information in Evernote, so kind of a backup situation. Okay, so let's see. So I put my new pages, my upcoming pages, into here. So you can see for 2021, I have my pages that I will move in very soon for year, my important dates, health tracker. And if you go through my planner setup video, I talk through all of these different pages that I use. And then my monthly pages, my monthly calendar pages are in here. I do have these little tabs that I use to separate the new pages from the old pages. So once let's say I finish January, I want to move it into my archive book, I'll put it in front of the tab so I know that anything in front of the tab is archive and anything behind the tab is new that needs to go in still. So here's weeks. So you can see I have weeks 1 through 5 already in my planner, and then week 6 is the next section to go in. So I have all of my weeks in here for the upcoming year. Day, I don't have anything in here yet, but because I usually only create the pages a month at a time. So I will, once I get done with January pages, I'll put them in here. And if I am creating the pages early, like a couple weeks early, and I don't want to move them into my planner, I'll put them in here first, just to store them. I have projects, so I have to still transfer. I do this every year. I transfer my big list of tasks because maybe some of them are irrelevant. It kind of is a way to go through and get rid of tasks that you're not going to do. My project life tracker I have in here. I have my goals pages. My overall planning for 2021 is in here. Project pages. I have notes, books. So just all the stuff getting ready to move into my 2021 planner. And I think that's all I have in here so far. So that's what one looks like before I move into the planner. So then let's look at one that's in progress. So this is the 2021, and we're not quite done. It's in December, towards the end of the year, but I don't have December archived in here yet. So you can see I have year again. I don't have anything in there because all of the yearly pages are still in my planner. So at the end of the year, I'll move all the yearly ones in here, and then I'll move the 2021 pages into my planner. So month. And you can see each month I have in here with my important dates. All of that gets loaded in here. I have, I think I have up to November in here. So December's not in here yet. Same with the weekly pages. I have all the way through November in here. January. So these are all of my daily pages, which is the bulk of this book. It's what takes up the most room in here. I have notes, which I haven't moved my notes in yet. I will do that at the end of the year. Projects, I've moved this planning page in here and past quarterly project plans in here. And again, I have a video on project planning and how I do that. So that talks about that page. And then info back here, just info of where I got my LASIK surgery this year. So that's what I have in there so far. So I wanted to just go through some of my past archives and just flip through them and kind of talk through them. So I started out with this little baby one in 2012. I was in a pocket-sized Filofax at the time. And so you can kind of see how my system evolved. So all I have here is just a cover page. It's not even laminated. I just have a front and back cover. And then I do have the tabs, and these are on the side. So I have year, month, week, day, reference, lists, and goals. So cute, little tiny pages. In 2013, I actually had 2 different sizes, so I moved from a pocket into a personal, and I've pretty much been in a personal size ever since then, with some exceptions, so I'll talk through those. But in 2013, isn't this so cute? I had I didn't even have a back cover page. I just had like a plastic cover, me and my hubby. So it's really cute. You'll see one of these in all of my planners, which is a visual index of my year, and I'll show you some of those in another one that I've marked. So here is where I started in 2013 to use important dates. And I do have a list of kind of the things that I put into this list, and this is what I end up putting into Evernote. So it started out kind of simple, but what the things that I use, and I have notes on the side so I remember. So the things that I put in there are life events like births, deaths, marriages, stuff like that. I have health information, like if you get sick or if you get a diagnosis or anything like that. I put that kind of stuff in there. I put current events, so like world events, like the pandemic and information about the pandemic went in there this year. I do work events, so if I started a job, end a job, if I got promoted or if I got a pay raise or a bonus or something like that, that information goes in there. I put in purchases. So if we make big purchases like our house or cars or electronics, I put those in there. Travel, like if I travel somewhere, I'll put the travel dates in there. And I will put if people come and stay at our house. So I just kind of like looking back to see if someone was at our house and when the last time they were here. I put my notes pages, the topics that I have in my notes pages, I do put those in there. If I have like doctor appointment notes or phone calls, things like that. And I actually, let me show you on here for a second. Oh, I don't have them in here for 2020. I didn't do my top tabs for 2019, which makes it hard to find. So that's why I do the top tabs. Let's see if I can find them. No. Okay. I'll show you in my planner. So on my notes pages, I actually number them. And so I will put the number in Evernote. So if I go back to Evernote, I'll see that on page 9 of my notes section, I have my planner archive video notes. So if I ever want to go back and look at them, I can do that. So it started out pretty simple here in 2013. And I think I also have, yeah, important dates here. So if I moved sizes, I do usually create 2 different binders. And sometimes the information is duplicated, but this is where I was most of the year. So I just reduplicated some of those important dates, added them in here. You can see some of the things that I put in here. Like we went on a hot air balloon ride. I went to scrapbook camp. I went on a business trip. Kevin left his job. We went on a trip. We went to a Pink concert. Easter, so there must have been something about Easter then. Went to a bachelorette party, went to my nephew's concert. My niece graduated, went to another concert, another trip, camping, stuff like that. And then I used to split out important dates versus medical. Now I combine them all into one. And then, oh, this was in 2013 was the first time I started using that year tab to put all of my year information together. There's 2013. 2014 was a lot bigger. That's when I really started using daily pages, and I think I was using DIY fish in here, which tends to be a lot more paper. So let's see, 2014, here's my content. So I did, instead of important dates, I did like a table of contents on my notes, and this would go into Evernote. So all of those would go in there. Just kind of flipping through. We went on a big trip to Seattle. So this is kind of an example of my notes pages. So back here, I wasn't putting dates on them, but I do now, like Christmas planning. This is still how I do all of my projects. I just write out a big list and the steps to get them done. So here's year. This is what I was talking about with the visual index. So I have one of these in every one of my archive books. And it's an overview of the year, of the different trips that we went on. And then these are our paid time off from work. So this was a paid holiday, vacation day, float day, sick day, if I had to go on a business trip, if I worked remote. Like, I always work remote. I work from home. I've been working from home since 2013. But if I'm working from another location than my home, then I'll put that in there. So, like, when we were in Seattle, we actually were in Seattle for 4 weeks. And I worked from there the whole time. So that was really cool. So that's what that looks like. And I have one in there for every year. And then I have my important dates, and then I have medical separate still back in 2014. Looks like this is when I started, like I said, with DIY fish, but that's kind of what my monthly calendar is based on. So here you can see I had my task list, I had my monthly chart, my calendar on the other side. So that's when that started back in 2014. And I also started my color coding back in 2014. So it was a lot simpler back then. And I still do the color coding system today. So I do that at the end of the month. I try to do it at the end of the month, although I'm not very good at keeping up. So I usually do it once a quarter. I'll go back through my daily pages and I'll mark off the different categories with the color coding. And then you can see, like, at the end of the year, I can easily flip through and find stuff that way too. If I don't want to go back through Evernote or look at the index, I can just go, oh, when did we go on trips? Because trips are red. So here we go. Where were we? We were, my mom was visiting us, my mother-in-law. This one we went to Albuquerque. Just like easy stuff to remember like that. Work is orange. So I can easily go, oh, there's a work item there. Or my husband's stuff is in green. I think finances are light green. Current events are brown. So easy way to look through my archives. But I started doing that in 2013. It looks like 2013, right? 2014. Okay, I have my weekly pages. And you can see, like, I've been using the same type of layout for quite a while, but I didn't have the chart over here with the tracker yet. And it looks like I think I started that here. Yeah, so I started that in 2014, and that was based on DIY fish. I also used to do, instead of, I had like an overview index, but then I also had like a daily page index of daily notes. So that's all kind of combined now into one index, but I used to have it separate. So you can see all of the days, like whatever I wrote in the notes section on that day, I would put it here so I could go back and look through this. I think that's all I had in this one. 2014. 2015. This one I was using field notes for my notes. So I actually just put in this little holder and put my notes in here. So they're together with my planner archive. Here's more color coding, more contents. I think we were doing projects. So we were doing like a big bathroom renovation. I have all my notes on that. I have Christmas notes back here. Here's my yearly section. So you can see my important dates, medical. Here's my visual index again for that year. This is when I did a separate tracker for health, like workouts, cardio and strength training. And what was this one? This, I don't know what that was, PTO. Oh, I was doing some other tracking here for like some health stuff. And you can see I use different types of pages, and they, as long as they're all personal, they fit fine in the archive. So it doesn't matter if you switch up different systems. You can still archive them together. Here's where I have, so here I had in my weekly pages, contacts. So that would be all of this would go into my Evernote. And I also did some color coding. I used to do this where each item was related to a certain color from my color code system, but I don't do that anymore. Day. So I was using Filofax, daily pages. I think that's it for that one. That was 2015. Okay, you guys. 2016 was the year of planner experimentation. So here I was using different sizes and different systems, and I ended up just cutting them all out and putting them into rings so I could have everything together. So this one is probably my largest archive. So note pages, lots of different types of paper, different lists, projects, year. Okay, so here's the year section. This one's like hard to kind of flip through because there's so much on here. So this is where I started combining all of my lists into one. So I just had a full contents here. And I started doing the color code with little dots. I think these are Hobonichi dots. So you can see like pink is my medical stuff, green is my husband, yellow is work, like work travel. I've had the same color coding system forever. So that's interesting. That's what I had there. That's when I started combining. And then you'll see up here, I have kind of a code on the notes. So HJ, if I have HJ on a note, like here, page HJ, that means it's in my health journal. FN is field notes. FFD is a Filofax daily page, or DIY is in a DIY fish booklet. But I ended up combining them all into here. So I do put those notes also in Evernote. So I know that, okay, I did a 401k transfer and that's in my field notes, book 2 or page 2. Page 2, I think. Here's where I started. So this was 2016. I started with the project planning pages. I was using different monthly calendars. I hadn't quite figured out my monthly calendar system yet. Weekly pages, I think I was still doing these. So you'll see a lot, there's sometimes blank stuff in here because I was in different systems. So this one's a little harder to find because it's not all one system. So I may have been in, you know, this DIY fish booklet in March instead of in the daily pages. So I tried, I think, to, maybe not. I thought I tried to just keep whatever had actual stuff in it, but maybe I added more. So here's where I was using the calendar with, you know, the fold out with the calendar and the chart on the back. I started doing time tracking with this, what is this called? Hyperdex, I think. It's from DIY Fish. It's a stamp. So I was doing some time tracking. And I kept up with that for a while. So I used, as you can see, I used the DIY Fish books for a while. Then I started getting into trying bullet journals. So I was trying a pocket bullet journal here. And this is where I had the pages like I have now. So I have the appointments on one side and then all of the tasks on the other side with this little system. Time tracking, notes from a conference I went to. projects. And then I was back in here in July, so you can see I was really experimenting with my setup at the time. Then August, I was back in here. More. These are actually copies of what's in here, so I'll go through that in a second. Just like that. I was doing like a tracker of my calories and insulin and stuff like that. That didn't last very long. There's the beast. And then I was also started using a Hobonichi Weeks, and this I did mostly for pre-planning because I wasn't using it on my phone. Now I do all this on my phone, so I don't use one of these anymore. But I did that, and then I did I tried some of the weeks in here, but the boxes are too small for me, so that's why I don't use a Hobonichi, because I don't like the box size. They're too small. That's 2016. And 2017, I have 3 because I used 3 different sizes that year. So that's why Evernote is nice, because I combine everything into one list. So if I'm searching for something, it doesn't matter if it's in this book or this book or this book, it will tell me where it is and I can find it. So I had color coding key here, bullet journal. I have my index for my bullet journal. So you can see in my bullet journal, I used the same system. And this is just an A6 notebook that I cut up and then put in here. You can see I used the Hobonichi A6 size for a little bit. So all that stuff. So it looks like I used that for a while. September, looks like I used it most of the year. For 2017 looks like I used it on and off. Like I started in the beginning of the year, and then in May I moved back into it and was in it through the rest of the year. So this probably has stuff at the beginning of the year. Yeah. So there's that. But again, it will have my yearly section with my visual index of the year. This one I actually printed out. So this is a good example of what it looks like in Evernote, because I actually printed this out from Evernote. So I have my a key up top, and then I list out the dates and continue like that in Evernote. And I create one archive note per notebook note in Evernote, and it's a note in Evernote. So I create one note per each year. Lists, projects, money, notes, all that kind of stuff. So you can see the tabs are a little different. I don't have a money section anymore, but the rest of them are the same. And I used my Hobonichi Weeks also this year, but it looks like I didn't really use it towards the end of the year. Well, I guess maybe I did. So, all right, there's 2017. And then 2018 is when I really started with the color coding on the archive. So I have, again, my yearly index in here. This is when I had the planning pages, important dates. So I started a lot of that in 2018. Notes, month, week. So now my system is basically the same since 2018. Daily. So my daily pages, this is when I started creating my own pages, cutting them. Looks like I tried to go back to DIY fish again, but I don't like the paper. I didn't like the paper. And all the extra like stuff on it. I just like basic plain pages. So like this. There's nothing except whatever I put on there, which I like. So yeah, that's what that looks like. Projects. And 2019. Oh, also in 2018, I was in a bullet journal too. So I did my color coding in here. My system is the same in a bullet journal. It's just not in rings. So I have the month, I have the tracker. I didn't have the important dates in here, but I do in my 2019 bullet journal. So my own pages. I have little notes from people, just different stuff like that. I had heart surgery in 2018. A lot of this was about my surgery. Okay, and then 2019, I was in a bullet journal from January to June. So here was my goals, notes pages. Let me go to like, I think I have it marked. So May, I started using this is the system. I really started using this, I think, a lot in April and May, but I have my system that I have now. So I have my tasks, my important dates, fun stuff, things to do. I have my index, my calendar, my tracker, and then I have my weeks. And then it goes back to the next month. So then I have the same thing, my important dates, calendar. Here I did some kind of blood sugar tracking, notes. So, and then in the back, I have my project pages, my important dates, and then I have PTO. So you can see I just have my stuff that I have in my yearly section. I just had it in the back here. So I had that for part of the year. And then I was in my rings planner the rest of the year. And I've been in my rings planner nonstop since June, I think, July of 2019. So this is when I started finally with my current calendar system that I have, where I have the index on the front, and I have the calendar, and then I have the tracking pages on the back. So I have that. And then I have my weekly pages. I need to go back and add the sections because it's really hard to find stuff in here without those tabs. Looks like that. All right, let me check my notes and make sure I didn't miss anything. If you guys have questions on how the system works, let me know in the comments below and I will answer you. And I think that is all. So thank you guys. Oh, I do have a blog post, a coordinating blog post that has a few more tips and tricks and information, all of the stuff I talked about here. So please do check out that blog post. And that is it. Thank you so much.